Brendan Garvey, welcome to the Lifestyle Lifter Show.
Thanks a million. Glad to be on, Adrian. Thanks for the invite.
Brendan, the first question I ask all my guests, because we're going to get you to share your backstory, but before you do share your backstory, Brendan, share something about yourself that most people do not know.
Yeah. This is a good one. I suppose some people might know, but I suppose I struggled with addiction back in 2017, and I had to get a bit of help around that. So alcohol didn't really suit me. I didn't really suit my lifestyle. Didn't really like the person I was when I drank, and part of the reason why I got into the health and fitness industry, to be honest with you, and I feel it has helped me an awful lot. I think it's put me farther down the road as a coach, to be honest, because I kind of know about behaviors and habit change, things like that. I bring it into my check-ins every single week. So I think that's something that some people know, but a lot of people don't know as well. I touched on it a couple of months ago, but I haven't really touched on it since, and maybe I should bring it up a bit more because I think it would help a lot of people.
Wow, man, you made your message. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And Brendan, why don't we actually maybe dive into a bit more about that? So can you just share a bit about yourself, how you actually got into health and fitness in the first place? And because I know now you're a full-time online coach. So let's share a bit about your backstory, Brendan.
Yeah, I suppose I was always interested in health and fitness, for sure. I was handy enough with the football up until around 16 or 17. And I suppose I just like going out a bit much. You know, my parents separated when I was young, around 7. And I think that kind of had a bit of a knock-on effect on me. And I was just kind of in a couple of groups, and I wasn't bad by any means, but I was just kind of drinking a bit too much, and I didn't really like the way I was, you know, a bit messy and so on. And I knew my brother kind of went down that route before, and he was like in his late 20s before he kind of took control of himself. So I was like 21, 22, and I says, look, this isn't for me. So I wasn't your typical person on the street that you'd see in the films or anything. I was functioning away, I was holding down a job, but it was getting a bit unmanageable. And I actually had to drop out of my master's at the time. I was doing a master's in sustainable management. But, you know, at that point then, that kind of, I went for a 30-day treatment, and that kind of opened my eyes. You know, I was doing a couple of jobs at the time in power stations, and I'm very grateful for them. But I wanted to do something with my life, and I loved health and fitness, and I never pictured myself as a coach, to be honest with you. But you know, as time passed, I took on board a personal training course, and I felt like I could give back. So that's how it started, and I kind of started this journey in 2019, doing a couple of courses, and a couple of years later, here I am.
Wow, unbelievable, man, incredible. And here you are. So I know you're from North Kerry, Brendan, but for anyone listening here, Brendan is currently in Lake Bled in Slovenia. And so you've been traveling, Brendan, the last couple of weeks, and you know, obviously with things open up now for the first time since a lot of people going on holidays for the summer for the first time since 2019, 3 years, and obviously, you know, traveling, it's important to us. But let's just kind of talk about then training while you travel, Brendan. And can you just share some of the things that you've been doing to kind of stay in shape, even as you've been traveling to different countries?
Yeah, for sure. And I always bring this up in my check-ins as well on my social media. There's so many things that go into a transformation. There's your nutrition, obviously. There's your hydration. There's your stress management. There's all these things, your needs. So your exercise basically outside of structured training. And then there's your training. So like, I wouldn't be really worried if you're not getting your averages up there, your 4 sessions or however many sessions you get when you're back home. You know, even if you got a couple of sessions, 20 minutes ago, even circuit training while you're away, that's absolutely spot on. Because when you allow yourself the proper time frame, your averages will be up there anyway, you know. So that's the kind of way I approach things. And to be honest, I was in Italy for the past month, for the month of May, and I literally got only like 3 or 4 resistance sessions in, bodyweight sessions. But what I did do was I focused on steps. My nutrition was good, bar a couple of pizzas. I got a good shot of, I got a good shot of running in as well, because I want to play a bit of football when I go home, and I'm okay with that, you know. So I didn't do a whole pile of resistance training. However, in the past 2 weeks, I've have access to a gym again, and the strength isn't too bad. And I kind of just adopted. I went into the gym with no real set structure, but I go in and see what's there, and if there's a couple of leg machines, I'll do them. And there's a couple of upper body machines. You probably noticed by my Instagram. Things. So, but when I go back to Ireland, then I'll adopt kind of a better structure of my training and try to
love it.
things again. But just tipping away, just doing the simple things on a day-to-day basis, and you can't go too far wrong.
Yeah, there's seasons for everything, and
Yeah.
it depends too as well how long you're away for. Like if you're away for 4 days or whatever a week versus where you've been away for like 7 or 8 weeks, obviously your approaches, there's going to be two different approaches. One thing we kind of recommend with our members, Brendan, just because we found that a lot of our clients had like a post-holiday hangover, and they found it hard to get back at it, to get back into the groove of their sessions, we'll say, you know, after a week off. So one thing we just said was, literally, I don't care how long or how short it is. I just want you to do the 5-minute warm-up. And like you're not going to get super fit by doing 4 or 5-minute warm-ups in your week away. But the reason being is because it just helps like keep that routine that you spoke about going, so that even when you are back, it's just easier to kind of fit back into it again. And for yourself then, Brendan, let's just talk about the king. And this is something that we can all definitely do while we travel, and that is NEAT, the importance of like just getting out and about and your set count.
For sure. I think the NEAT is one thing that you can really focus on when you're abroad. And it's one of the things, I suppose, that make up your total daily energy expenditure that you can really target. The other areas such as thermic effective food and BMR, you can't really target them, but you can target your NEAT for sure. And you can easily bring up your NEAT when you're abroad. And for me, it's the best way to see cities and things like that, is just walk around, get some grub, get a bit of lunch and view the landmarks and so on. So like, there's no reason in the world why you can't double your NEAT, what you're doing back home. And it's an excellent way to stay lean and stress management and just enjoy the area and everything. So that's what I've been focusing on an awful lot, and hiking as well. We're doing an awful lot of hiking. Like one day we did like 30,000 steps, you know. I suppose on a typical day it would be like 15 to 20 most days, but you know, just keep tipping away with that. And it's an excellent way, as I said, for stress management, for getting the activity levels up and seeing the area. It's
100%. Stress management, that's a big one, as you said there too. And when you think about it, it takes on average about 10 minutes to walk 1,000 steps. Obviously, it's going to vary between each individual. But if you're hitting, you know, 15, 20K, like that's what, 150 to 200 minutes, which is 2.5 to over 3 hours of just walking around. So, you know, a lot of people think that it's just like the hour inside the gym, but amazingly, as you mentioned yourself, like that can only might only equate to like 5 to 10% of your overall calorie burn. Your NEAT can actually be much, much higher than that, depending on how much walk and how much activity you're doing. So I think there are some really good tips there you shared, Brendan, in terms of getting out and about to see the city by increasing your set count. Maybe if your hotel has a gym, banging out 20 minutes in the morning, going for a run, another good way to see the city. But then, of course, Brendan, we all know it's not just the hour inside the gym or the hour training we do. It's the other 23 hours that a lot of people are challenged with, and food comes into play there, Brendan. So can you just share like some tips, some travel eating tips that you've been implementing as you've been out and about?
Yeah, definitely. And I posted a post on my Instagram there a couple of days ago about this.
I loved it. Yeah.
Regardless if I'm at home or if I'm abroad, I kind of cover my bases with my 3 solid meals each day and my 2 or 3 snacks. And it's basically something along the lines of eggs for breakfast, chicken for lunch, and then kind of maybe fish or red meat in for dinner. And I have 2 to 3 pieces of fruit, and I make sure my food quality is good. And I try to get 1 to 2 servings of veg or different veggies per meal. And every morning I wake up, regardless if I'm at home or over here, I try to hit those kind of rules that I've laid out for myself. Now, I don't always hit them. You're never going to like hit all these things nail on the head when you're abroad, but trying is better than not trying, to be honest with you. So that's how I kind of work things. Like we've been in hotels for a couple of days, and we've also rented Airbnbs. So if I'm in an Airbnb, I'll go to the shop, I'll pick up eggs, I'll pick up avocado, I'll pick up bread, maybe pick up rice and stuff, maybe for dinners. But then if we're in a hotel, you can easily kind of replicate what you're doing in a hotel as well, because most of the breakfasts are buffets. So like if you're preparing 3 eggs at home and bread or whatever, you can replicate that so easily in the hotel. And then I know you're a big fan of this, of the plate breakdown as well. I kind of follow that route when I'm abroad, and for buffets, So just for instance, we were in Budapest now at the weekend.
Yeah.
Exactly what I did for breakfast. I just broke up my plate into like a third proteins, third carbs, and a third veggies. And I go thirds because I do a lot of walking and hiking and things like that, you know. But maybe if you wanted to even lose weight or improve your body composition, you might adopt a quarter carbs, you know, something along those lines.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Again, it doesn't have to be exact, but it's something, you know. So that's kind of the approach I use. And I brought protein with me. I brought some electrolytes with me as well, because it's very good over here. And we pick up like things like figs and dried fruit and berries and stuff for snacks throughout the day as well. Again, there's been a lot of pizzas and stuff. But once you kind of try to hit those couple of rules every day, like even the simple thing, you're bringing in some fruit every day, increase your fiber content, help your digestion and stuff. So that's the approach I use. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the way you said, like, again, you know, I think you and I are pretty similar in our approaches to diet plans. Like, I think meal plans are, if someone's like preparing for a physique competition, of course, like you're going to need to be really rigid and structured. But for our listeners here, like we kind of want to, you know, we want to look good, we want to feel good, but we also want to be able to enjoy yourselves too. And as you said, if you understand the principles and your principles, Brendan, so just, you mentioned like, so 3 meals kind of based around protein, maybe veggies once or twice a day. And then the plate, the way you kind of portion it out and getting some fruit in and some water in. Like, isn't that just such a great way to understand that? Like, if you just can follow those simple principles, whether you're in freaking California or you're San Diego or you're just back home in Ireland and you're out and about going to a game, you can absolutely replicate it. Also, Brendan, though, would you agree, like, to be fair, I know breakfast buffets are amazing, but like, if you want to get out and about and actually explore, and you have like, you know, you just fill yourself up with croissant, with cereals, with all those, you're not going to be able to see a whole lot of that city because you just want to go back to bed and sleep more.
Yeah, for sure. I think our general approach here is like we'd have breakfast and we just kind of relax for 40 minutes or an hour before we head out. We wouldn't head out pretty much straight away. Just let the food settle a bit and then head out. But the hunger levels will come at you pretty quickly then, because you'll be walking the whole time and you're probably active the day before as well. But like on days that we're going for hiking, then we'd have the breakfast and we just buy stuff in the shop the day before. Like, I don't think anyone can go hiking without making a ham roll, ham and cheese roll. So that's what we've been doing, you know, just
100%.
Nice. So yeah, that's the kind of approach we take, sure.
Yeah, brilliant. And let's just say then, Brendan, because I know you mentioned you were initially there at the week, or you were initially, and you were obviously, you know, you got to try some of the pizza and pasta, but let's just say you were to have a meal that, you know, didn't abide by the principle of, you know, maybe contains a good lean source of protein and veggies, and it was just more so like a big ass pizza. How would you kind of fit that into your maybe your macros or your lifestyle? Would you kind of adjust the dial slightly throughout the day and keep things lower? How would you work that?
To be honest, I don't want to keep things, I don't tend to play around with calorie banking or anything like that myself. And this is just what works for myself. So I keep my breakfast and lunch and snacks pretty much the same. I might have an extra protein shake maybe, and I just count that pizza in the evening as an extra meal. But I might have an extra protein shake or something, all right. But I just take it, I allow myself that time frame. So like if I'm having, let's say 200 grams of protein each day, even if that day is 180, my average protein for that week is 100%. Still up 90. So it won't make too much of a difference. I think, you know, from coaching people, it can just get a bit messy, I think, banking calories. If the person is able to do it and it fits them and they like doing it, perfect. But just keeping things the same, and once they're consistent over time, that's more than enough. So I just count that pizza or count that big bowl of pasta with sauce. I just count it as one meal, and I might have an extra protein shake on the side. And I suppose the key thing is I don't dwell on it. It's just
that's the important one.
Meal out. Next day I get up, I just do the same things over and over again. Whereas before I had a tendency to dwell on it, and then the meal choice on Friday and Saturday and Sunday to be kind of small bit off. But I just jump right back on it. And I think that's absolutely key.
Yeah, to avoid, because I know what a lot of people kind of feel challenged with, Brendan, is they kind of label foods as good or bad. And then when they have a quote unquote bad food, they press the effort button and say, well, I've already had this bad food. I may as well keep going. And, you know,
Exactly.
that Friday leads to Saturday, leads to Sunday. And they wake up, you know, going to work on Monday morning feeling full of shame and guilt. And they just go completely opposite and being restrictive. I like the way you mentioned there. And I guess too, like if you're having 3 to 4 square meals a day, let's just say 4 meals a day, including we'll count your 2 snacks as 1 meal. You 4 meals a day times 7, 28 meals in a week. If one or two of those are, you know, whatever, pizza and pasta, whatever it might be, as you said, in the grand scheme of things, it's the consistency that counts. And Brendan, let's just kind of talk about then, just for yourself and adjusting your goals, because I know the way at the start you mentioned when you return back home to Kerry, you'll have a bit more structure.
Definitely.
And you'll probably be able to train a bit harder, and because you're obviously going to be back home. So I think it's important, Brendan. Can you just talk about sometimes accepting that, you know what, like maintenance is actually progress in certain seasons?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Like, there's no reason for me to be trying to chase body composition goals out here. I want to enjoy the 2 months, to be honest with you. And I've been traveling now since February. We were in Thailand for 2 months, and now we're in Europe for 2 months. Like, I knew from the outset, I was kind of just gauging my expectations, and I was like, what am I hoping to achieve now? And what's my number one thing I want to achieve, or what I want to prioritize over the next 4-month block? And that's enjoying myself, you know. But you see, the thing is, I like doing my steps. I like keeping my nutrition on, you know, my good food choices in place. So I like having a pizza as well. But I like hiking. I like all them things. I think I live kind of a healthy lifestyle, you know, and that accounts for an awful lot. I don't try to view things as plans or 12-week blocks or anything like that. But anyway, my goal, I suppose, in February was to just tip away, do a bit of training when I can, not stress out about if I miss a couple of sessions. And I knew I wasn't going to get any huge body composition change, to be honest with you. But when I return back home to Ireland now, I'm going to have things a bit more structured, and I can push things a little bit more, you know. Reassess my goals. I've been kind of thinking of going down the route of maybe a couple of triathlons or endurance stuff. One, because just because it's cool, and second of all, my own coaching side of things. So, and that's something I'm going to explore now.
Brilliant. Any events in mind there, Brendan, that you're planning on signing up to?
No, I actually haven't, but I plan to contact a coach now and just have a chat with him because I have a few my ankles and things like that, and see what's the best approach for me to go down. But I think it's important to kind of think about what you're going to do as well, because I can just as easy arrive home now in 2 weeks, and a month will go, 2 months will go. So I'm going to kind of take action and just kind of get the ball rolling again rather than letting time pass, you know.
And you know what, for all our listeners out there, Brendan indirectly made such an important point, which was he decided in advance that February through to June, it's more so maintenance mode and no body composition goals. So he gave himself permission now. You've given yourself permission for the last 4 months to, you know what, prioritize just living your life a bit more, and maybe leaving the fitness, not having that as your number one priority. Definitely. But if you go over, if you're abroad, or, you know, if every season you got to be a 10 out of 10, you're just setting yourself up for failure, because you're kind of always pushing without kind of understanding that there are seasons to this. You know, there are seasons to it. Like with Christmas time too. Like if you can maintain your weight over Christmas, like, you know, while it's not progress in the scale, like it's actually, that's definitely a form of progress. And as you said, just like being in maintenance mode, and accepting, giving yourself permission that you're not going to have huge body composition goals or strength goals, but when you return back home, when you have that structure, they're going to kick in.
I think as well, like even if you're back home in Ireland at the moment, you know, the days are longer, the weather is warmer, there's people moving around, there's concerts, there's events. Like if you can just maintain now, or even kick on the progress a small little bit, like this is what I'm focusing on with people now. You know, some people are making little bits of progress, you know, the weight averages are coming down, and some people kind of want a bit more. But I'm just reassuring them that if you can kind of just maintain things now, or even make a little bit of progress, when coming into the latter end of the year, then you can really begin to pick things back up. It's like
100%.
You need to kind of back off a little bit every once in a while, and then go again, and back off and go again. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it depends on all the individuals, but I think like, especially if you're going traveling a lot over the summer, I know some people want to look good for the holidays too. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
summer bodies are built in frickin' January, as they do say.
Yeah.
But like maintenance mode, I think for me, I'm pretty much the same. Like
Yeah.
I did a bit of a cut last year, Brendan, because I had a photo shoot in July before my sister's wedding.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, like those last 3 weeks, I'll tell you, they were tough going.
Oh.
So now I'm I don't know, probably eating around about 3,000 calories a day, and I'm
Yeah.
able to like just maintain and maintain. I'm not looking to drop body fat. I'm not really looking to gain strength either. Just happy out with where I am and living life a bit more. So I'm definitely with you on all those fronts, Brendan. And tell me for you then, Brendan, I know you mentioned some future goals. Have you ever like done triathlons or any of these endurance events before? I know that's kind of somewhat how you base your content around.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I've done a couple of runs and a half marathon, the kind of Kilty half marathon. But I want to learn an awful lot more about it, because even if I'm not training like professional athletes or like you know, people who are really serious about triathlons, lots and lots of people want to do runs and half marathons, even marathons, and if I can give them a bit of a hand, that would be excellent. But also just for myself, just for something new. I've been going to the gym for quite a while now, so it's nice to have something different. But I'd like to kind of have it in a way where it's not just full on cardio, have a nice balance of strength.
100%.
You know, on top of that, I started playing football again, which is a big achievement for myself, because I kind of stopped playing around that time where I was kind of having trouble with the alcohol. And I was getting a bit of help around that. So I've actually gone back to that this year. So hopefully a combination of maybe endurance stuff will help my football as well. Now it's not a direct crossover with training.
Yeah.
If we to complement each other. So a couple of things on the go. I'm excited now to get back actually and get cracking into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just like that now. It's nice having different goals, Brendan.
Yeah.
And I ran a marathon back in 2018, and I was playing football too at the time. And yeah, like it's hard. It can be hard to kind of balance both of them out, but it's definitely possible. Along with just like maintaining, again, during that season, you just want to maintain your strength, and you're definitely not going to be building with all the added cardio.
Exactly.
But yeah, Brendan, this has been awesome, man. I think we shared some real good, like beneficial tips there on training while you travel, eating on the go, adjusting your goals for different seasons of the year. So what are like 1 to 3 takeaways, Brendan, that you feel would be good takeaways for our listeners to implement?
Yeah, I think just if you're going away on holidays, like we were discussing, just kind of know your goals, or kind of know what you're going to be happy with while you're on holidays, you know, if that makes sense. So like in my situation going away in February, I was okay with just maintaining, okay? And you can even go down to say to yourself, okay, I'm happy now not training for this week, you know? So you're just thinking in advance of these things. I think thinking in advance is beneficial for everything, especially your nutrition as well. You can think in advance of your meals and what you're going to do, like for the breakfast buffet and so on. So you're not like a deer in the headlights and you go in, you know. That's cool. I think in terms of your training, just you don't have to keep any set structure to your training when you go abroad. Like it might be a different situation for me, but even still, I didn't keep an overall kind of set in stone structure for my training when I was away, especially in Italy. Like I did a couple of body weight exercises and things like that, but not much, you know, and I was just training, just running training, to be honest with you, but again, not a whole pile, because I had to kind of mind my ankles because I just did too much too soon. Last takeaway, I think just enjoy yourself when you go away on holidays, to be honest, because that's the number one thing, is to enjoy yourself and not worry too much about body composition. So yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, awesome. Unbelievable. And Brendan, I just want to acknowledge you. I really enjoy your message there. Like it's just for, you know, it just comes from a real like good place, and your message of just like, okay, sure you're traveling, but let's just adjust the diet. Like don't press the effort button where we're just binge eating for a full week, but you know what, like don't have too high expectations for you. I think that's a comforting for a lot of people, because you know, it's kind of like the Christmas analogy too, Brendan. Like most people spend way too much time worrying about the 5 weeks between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day. and they forget about the other 47 weeks of the year.
That's it.
What you do for those 47 weeks is going to have a much more of an impact on your overall progress compared to like this example here, you're a week or two away in holiday. So I love that, adjusting the diet. And Brendan, just finally, last two questions that I like to ask other guests. I'm big into like routines. And I know maybe at the moment you're somewhat out of your routine, at least because you're traveling. But in general, like, do you have like a morning routine, or what does the first 30 minutes of your day, your typical day, look like, Brendan?
Yeah, it's usually just get up and go for a quick walk. Now, when I was back in Ireland, the mornings were kind of the weather wasn't the best, but definitely when I get home, it'll be up, let's say 5:30 or 6, and go for a walk, and then plow into check-ins at around 7. For a couple of hours, depends, it can vary, and then I'll probably get some lunch. So it definitely revolves every morning around getting some sunlight and some steps, because that really makes my sleep, to be honest. Obviously getting in a bit of food as well, but I don't want to kind of go overboard with the breakfast. Just have a couple of eggs and avocado or something, but just kind of set up the clock, because if I wake up in the morning and I don't get some sunlight, especially, I don't know, you just have that feeling in the evening that sleep is going to be disrupted, and you're just kind of on edge a small little bit. And I'm not sure, have you read the book with 2 books, Nick Littlehale's Sleep, I think it's called, but he just goes back to that analogy of someone out camping and just aligning their body clock with
Interesting. Yes.
And that's kind of what I like to do in the morning. So my morning routine just revolves around that. I'm stuck into check-ins, and I try get the bulk of my work done then before like 1 or 2 o'clock, and then maybe a couple of program updates, because at that stage is my I suppose my mental clarity begins to drop off. So I try
100%.
Get as much work done up until lunchtime, and then just a few little bits, and then so that's just a general.
Brilliant, awesome. I'm somewhat similar there. I love the morning walk, unbelievable. Go for the body, but more importantly, go for the mind, as you said. And exactly. the benefits too with your sleep. I've heard a lot of research on that. I'm just trying to get sunlight inside like the first 90 minutes of your day, if possible. Unreal. It's a lovely way to start the day too. And Brendan, because this is the Lifestyle Lifters show, final question for you, Brendan. What is your definition of living a successful lifestyle?
That's a tricky one. Living a successful lifestyle. I used to think an awful lot about money, but I don't think it's about that. I think just being able to live and work away and be happy, like myself now. Like, I'm very, very grateful to be able to get away and travel, because a couple of years ago I wouldn't have dreamt of being a coach or anything like that, even though I always wanted to be. So I think just being happy within yourself. And I think ever since my kind of alcohol issues, I've been very, very grateful of my health. And I have a couple of little issues, like I have a shoulder now that's causing me problems, and my knee isn't the best. I've got a bit of an operation, but they're only kind of mechanical things. But once you're kind of happy in your mind and be able to get up every day, get a bit of sunlight, have a bit of food, and just train away and so on, and help people, I think that's key, to be honest.
Unreal. Love your values, man. I think we're in alignment with a lot of things there. That's unreal. And Brendan, where can people learn more about you and what you offer?
So I recently joined up with Paula Sullivan with Bespoke Coaching. So we're both working under the name Bespoke Coaching. So Instagram.
Bespoke. I'll put the link in the show notes. So it's BESPOKE. Bespoke Coaching.
Bespoke_coaching. And you'll find it there. So Paul's a great man. I was his client for like a year and a half, so we know each other very, very well, and we kind of share the same approach to coaching. Like, it's just, run yourself into the ground for 6 weeks, and like, I've no hassle coming along to a client if their digestion is off, or if their muscles are really, really sore, saying, right, we're pulling back training for 2 weeks, even though they've only signed up for 8. So we have a nice approach going between us.
Brilliant. I'll post those. So for everyone listening, I'll post the links to Brendan's IG in the show notes. And for everyone out there listening to, please pay the fee, and the fee, it's very, very small and it's free. So if you got value from this podcast, if you had a listen, if you enjoyed the podcast, just tag me at Mac Lifestyle Fitness and tag Brendan at B_spoke coaching on IG, and we'll reshare it on our stories.
Perfect. Thanks, Adrian. I appreciate it.
Brendan, awesome stuff. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thanks a million.